may be traumatic, you know, even if the machine doesn't enter it. But for example, I spoke with some people with kidney disease who had to do dialysis. And they told me that nonetheless in our spontaneous self-perception, you know, we think that we are autonomous in our body. We just live with our body. And then the idea to accept that your life depends on that machine. It's out there. If you broke the link with that machine, you are dead in 2-3 days. That this is something very traumatic. But maybe there is a new wisdom, enlightenment here. Because I think that de facto our autonomy always was an illusion. Isn't, if I may put it in a way of some pathetic metaphor, my God, isn't our language, our symbolic system, a kind of a big dialysis machine? You know, it's out there and we need link with it. We cannot survive without it. This is what even relatively intelligent scientists on brain, cognitivists like Daniel Dennett say, who says, in the same way that animal without her fur, hair, is not an animal. If you shave a rabbit, it's unnatural. That the same, not only our clothes, but our machines are part of our identity. If you disconnect humans from their machines and so on, you don't get a pure human being, you get a cripple, nothing. This modern technology is just making us more aware of it. I like here another example from, my own domain, psychoanalysis. People are afraid of virtual sex, claiming, isn't this unnatural? Like in authentic sex, you have a warm, hot human being, you touch him or her, she or he responds, it's wonderful. But now we are more and more approaching here where you just get aroused in a masturbatory way by a machine and it's sex on the screen, virtual, you dream there and so on. No, but the horror of virtual sex, I claim, it's not that you no longer have good old authentic sex, body with body, but it makes you aware that in a way, and this is the basic lesson of psychoanalysis, in a way, sex always was virtual. By this I mean, what's the lesson of psychoanalysis? Even when I am most intensely with my lover, we are never alone. When I make love to a woman, I realize some fantasy. I fantasize about what, you know, it's always, there has to be a virtual supplement. Like I realize a dream. And that's the point of psychoanalysis, of psychoanalytic theory of fantasy. Fantasy is not just, I want to sleep with that woman, I cannot get her, so I fantasize about and must. No, fantasy is what organizes my very real bodily enjoyment with that woman. So you see, my point being how the fact of virtual sex makes us aware of a virtual dimension which was always already in real sex. And again, the same, I think, holds for what you said about machines and so on. So maybe we will become wiser and just lost some narcissistic illusions through this. I'm not afraid of this. You know, we should nonetheless not forget, there can be this tremendous machinery, but if you kill all the people who use it, you don't get happy computers doing it on their own. You get nothing, just stupid machines working. So, again, we should never forget that the most intelligent machines work as intelligent machines only through their connection with human intelligence. I here remain not a humanist, but just aware of the uniqueness of human subjectivity. I think we should always bear in mind this. I don't buy this. That's why I don't buy these Gnostic stories, you know, some kind of collective mind will take over and so on and so on. You know what bothers me at a very elementary level when I read Kurzweil? Okay, he describes this collective mind, blah, blah, new post-human entity. But isn't he aware that he still speaks as an ordinary human? He cheats. It's as if all this will be But we will still reason and feel emotions as singular human beings. He's too naive here. He's way too naive here. He is, well, you know, that's the irony, that he wants to be the voice of the big revolution, singularity, but he's too naive humanist, as if we will still be humans here. I have the same problem with, you know who approached this problem radically? With this American couple, the big cognitivist couple, maybe you know them, Patricia and Paul Churchland. Because as I develop in one of my books, the way I see it, there are 4 main positions today about how, if we fully accept the result of cognitive sciences, that there is no free self, we are just neuronal machines. The problem is, how will this affect our everyday lives? The predominant attitude is that of an irreducible split. That is to say, most scientists say, okay, we know this rationally. But nonetheless, when I interact with other people, we are wired, we are so constituted that this illusion of being a free, autonomous agent is part of our biological nature. Like, the moment I act, I experience myself as a free agent. What should I decide? Should I do this, that? In other words, there will be forever a gap between what we scientifically know and what some people call user's illusion, that we as using our brains have that. This is the position of majority. Then we have Habermasian position and of some philosophers who claim that no, that human presence is nonetheless stronger. That is to say that our scientific image of the world is nonetheless the result of our rational activity. And you cannot abstract from this. So that even if you prove that you are just a neural mechanism, the way you prove this is through free reasoning. So, in other words, naturalism cannot even be the whole truth. Okay, then there is the heroic position of people like Patricia and Paul Churchland, who claim that this illusion, user's illusion, that we are free autonomous beings, is not necessary. That in the same way that primitive people, when they saw lightning or whatever, thought, oh, this is divine sign, but now we know it's just nature, that we can imagine a society which will success in making the scientific truth that we are not free autonomous agents, but neuronal mechanisms, part of our daily self-experience, that we will simply accept it, and that this will be even a much softer society, not so violent, punishing crime, and so on. But I don't accept this one. The one that truly intrigues me is, he translated here in Brazil, is a German neurologist and philosopher called Thomas Metzinger, who wrote a wonderful book, Being Nothing, where he claims that there is only one spiritual position, it's a beautiful theory, which really elevates our self-experience to the level of today's brain scientists. It is Buddhist meditation. You know, when you reach that state of anatma, as they put it, thoughts without thinker. It's a very beautiful theory that only a radical Buddhist who goes through this, getting rid of the illusion of free self, is at the level of today's sciences. No? It's a fascinating topic. I'm doubtful that it will still be what we call intelligence. You know, something tremendously new may emerge, but it will not be at the same time what we call intelligence. What we call intelligence is so much linked to our free reasoning and so on and so on. You know, it's really, if there is a thing proven by all these scientific singularity utopias and so on, it's the deep truth of how really difficult it is to imagine future. Isn't it that, for example, take all these big science fiction soap operas or movies, novels, like take Star Wars. It's ridiculous how to imagine a future. You have Federation, Emperor, and so on. All the medieval mythology has to return, and so on. Are we aware, again, how difficult it's really to imagine a different society?